Hello everyone, and welcome back to Tech Adventure. I hope you're all doing well and staying dedicated to enhancing your skills in software development and embedded systems. This video continues our C++ interview Q&A series, designed to help college students, freshers, and experienced developers ace their C++ interviews with confidence. Previously, we covered 50 real-world C programming interview questions, key topics frequently asked in interviews. If you missed those videos, I highly recommend checking them out for a solid foundation before moving forward. If you find this content helpful, like, subscribe, and share to support the channel and help others on their learning journey. Let's dive and continue our Q&A series on C++. 31. Is it possible to call a virtual function from a constructor? Yes. It is technically possible to call a virtual function from a constructor in C++, but it's generally not recommended. When a constructor is called, the object is still in the process of being constructed. This means that the virtual table, vtable, for the object is not fully set up yet. If you call a virtual function from a constructor, the version of the function that gets called is the one for the base class, not the derived class. This can lead to unexpected behavior if the derived class overrides the virtual function. Here's a simple example to illustrate this. Display method was called from the base constructor, but it did not call the derived class display, because at that point, the derived part hasn't been constructed yet. 32. Is it possible to declare a constructor as virtual? No, you cannot declare a constructor as virtual in C++. Constructors are responsible for creating an object. The reason is that when a constructor is called, the object is not yet fully formed, and the virtual table, vtable, is not set up. Virtual functions rely on the vtable to resolve the correct function to call, but since the vtable is not available during the construction phase, it is not possible to have a virtual constructor. However, we have seen in our previous video, destructors can be virtual. This is important for ensuring that the correct destructor is called for derived classes when an object is deleted through a base class pointer. 33. What is the size of an empty class in C++? In C++, the size of an empty class is typically 1 byte. This is because even though the class has no data members, it still needs to have a unique address in memory. The 1 byte ensures that each instance of the class has a distinct address. Allow proper behavior when using pointers, references, or arrays of that class. 34. Why we need initializer list. Initializer lists in C++ are used to initialize member variables of a class before the constructor body executes. They are particularly useful in several scenarios. 1. Initialization of constant or reference members. If a class has constant or reference members, they must be initialized using an initializer list because they cannot be assigned values in the constructor body. And references must be initialized when they are created, and this can only be done using an initializer list. 2. For better performance. Using initializer lists avoids default construction plus reassignment. This is especially helpful for objects like strings or containers. 3. Initialization of base class members. When a class inherits from a base class, the base class constructor can be called using an initializer list. 4. Initialization of member objects. If a class contains objects of other classes as members, those objects can be initialized using an initializer list. Using initializer lists ensures that member variables are properly initialized before any other code in the constructor runs, which can prevent bugs and improve performance. 35. When is the copy constructor called? The copy constructor in C++ is called in several specific scenarios, which is listed here, where a new object needs to be created as a copy of an existing object. We already covered copy constructors in our previous video. Here, you need to be aware of the scenarios in which they get called. 36. What is the function of the keyword using? The using keyword in C++ has several important functions, depending on the context in which it is used. 1. Namespace alias. It allows you to create an alias for a namespace, making it easier to refer to long or complex namespace names. 2. Type aliases. It allows you to create type aliases, which can make code more readable and easier to manage. 3. Template aliases. It allows you to create aliases for template types, which can simplify complex template declarations. 4. Inheritance method and constructor access. In the context of inheritance, using can be used to bring base class constructors or base class functions into the derived class scope. 37. What is the function of the keyword auto? The auto keyword in C++ is used to automatically deduce the type of a variable at compile time, based on the value it is initialized with. Here are key functions of auto. Note: auto requires initialization. It cannot be used without a value. If you want to keep the reference or constness, you need to write it explicitly. 38. What is a functor in C++? A functor, or function object, in C++ is an object that can be called as if it were a function. This is achieved by overloading the operator in a class. Functors are useful because they can maintain state and can be passed around like regular functions. Functors can be passed to algorithms and used in place of function pointers. Functors can be customized to perform specific tasks, making them more versatile than simple function pointers. 39. What is perfect forwarding in C++? Perfect forwarding in C++ is a technique used to pass arguments to a function in such a way that the function receives them exactly as they were passed in. This is particularly useful in template programming, where you want to forward arguments to another function or constructor without losing any information about whether the arguments are L values or R values. Perfect forwarding is typically achieved using universal references, also known as forwarding references, and the std forward function. Here's a simple example to illustrate. When you write a function template that accepts parameters and forwards them to another function or constructor, you want to. It's avoid unnecessary copying. Maintain move semantics when possible. Handle both L values and R values correctly. Perfect forwarding lets you write generic, efficient functions, essential for writing factory functions, wrappers, or forwarding constructors. Uses tm%, m%, and std, forward t, pattern. 40. What are the importance of the scope resolution operator? The scope resolution operator : in C++ is used to define and access members, variables, or functions that belong to a specific scope, such as classes, namespaces, or even global variables. The scope resolution operator is essential for managing scope and resolving names in C++, making code more organized and readable. That wraps up today's session on real C++ interview questions and answers. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content related to software and embedded development. For a diverse experience, I also encourage you to subscribe to my other channel, where you can explore travel, finance, and updates from around the globe. Links are provided in the description for more details. We'll continue this C++ Q&A series in our next video. Until next time.